Hey guys, are you curious about what the new supplement for Dead Man's Hand Redux is like? Well, today I'm going to be taking you through the new supplement for Dead Man's Hand Redux for good. This is released by Great Escape Games and looks like it's going to be a good one. So without further ado, let's jump down to the workbench and let's take a look. So here we have the good. This is the first supplement for Dead Man's Hand Redux produced by Great Escape Games. As you can tell from the front cover, this is a game which is set in the Wild West, but very much in that cinematic element. Within this supplement, we find 13 new faction lists as well as 4 new scenes broken down into 3 acts each. So if we open up the book and have a look at the first page, we can see some adverts for the latest plastic kits out from Great Escape Games. Within the contents, we can see those 13 new factions, as well as a list of Legends of the West characters. We also see in the contents the 4 new scenes and the 3 acts per scene. Turning over, we can see some of the detail included for each faction. We have the information boxes, some key faction rules, and their characters and what they get along with their stats. We also see the cards and how each of those affects the faction. So first up we have the Buffalo Soldiers. Next we have the Stranger. Basically this is a group of townspeople made up to create the faction. We then move on to the Daughters of the West, and following on from them, the Seven. These are probably my favourite gang or faction, and I'm hoping to pick up the figures at some point. This faction is based on those from the Magnificent Seven, as the title suggests, and I think these will be a really fun faction to play. Moving on, we have a faction list for Mountain Men, one for Plains Indians, and another for the State Police. We then have a list for the Texas Rangers and the Boys. The Boys essentially are ranch hands, those who might work on various cattle ranches. Moving on, we have the Bucks and the other 7, which I'm interested to read more into to see just quite how they compare to the first 7. We also have the Tong, which will feature nicely for my Briscoe County Junior game. And we have some Pioneers. Can't have some Pioneers without some Plains Indians, and of course we get that list as well. We then come on to some of the Legends of the West, and you might recognise some of these, such as John Bridges and The Good, from some of the films that you may have grown up watching. We then move on to the scenes, and if you're not familiar with Dead Man's Hand, you'll not know that a scene is essentially a mini campaign. It's made up of 3 acts, and each act is a scenario in itself. The way they present these in the books are fantastic, in my opinion. We get this wonderful sort of newspaper look to it with some really cool adverts, and essentially as you go through it tells you the scenario, what you need to know about the factions involved, and how you can get to the end of the game. We get 4 of these new scenes within the book, and I think they'll be fantastic to play, and I'm very much looking forward to putting some of these games on and videoing them for the channel. So that brings us to the end of the supplement. This came with a set of cards, which I'll show you now. So here are the items that I got with the pre-order. Firstly, the bookmark. I have to say, I was a little bit skeptical of why we get a bookmark, and then with the original rules, I found them so useful for putting a placeholder in the rules for the page I use the most, which is usually my faction page. Next up, we have these cards. These cards are for special rules, and essentially they allow you to have them in front of you so that you're not flicking through the book and finding the special rules. And as you can see with this one, this is specific to the other 7. And likewise, this one is specific to the state police. So they're quite useful to have and can make the bookkeeping element a lot quicker. Next up, we have the playing cards. These are a key mechanic to the game, and these specifically are the new versions to fit the factions. So when you're playing, you'll need to pick out the cards which have these symbols that relate to your faction, and then you can put those in the playing deck as per the normal set of rules. And they very nicely come in this box to keep them safe. And finally, the free miniature that I got with the pre-order was this one. And for those who are keen on westerns, you might recognise this chap. He is the Good from The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, played by Clint Eastwood. And I just loved the look of him when I saw that that was an option for pre-ordering, and probably pushed me towards doing the pre-order. So there we have it, The Good, the first supplement for Dead Man's Hand Redux from Great Escape Games. In my opinion, they've done a fantastic job, and I'm really looking forward to getting these factions on the table, having some games of them, and bringing those games to you on the channel. So my next video on Sunday won't be the usual live stream. I've actually decided to do a hobby update video instead. So if you're interested in what I've picked up on Facebook Marketplace recently and how I'm getting on with my 2mm Lord of the Rings project, then check out that video on Sunday. And until then, take care. We'll see you soon.